On this episode, we had Andy Lawniczak, the owner of Precision Auto Wraps. Andy's a good friend of ours who's been on the show several times, and we talk about how he transitioned his business from one brand and updated it to another brand, changing names, changing logos, the whole 9 yards. It's a fascinating conversation. I know you're going to enjoy it. Please like and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. I'm James Groves, and along with my business partner, Bill Dement, we want to share our journey as small business owners with you. As owners of Hole in the Wall Drywall Repair, we will attempt to peel back the curtain of owning a small business in the trade service industry and talk about the many adventures of owning a small business. Hey, Bill.
James, good morning to you.
Good morning and happy Labor Day.
Thank you.
Yeah, we actually had an off week last week. You weren't feeling very good.
I was not.
Things didn't line up with schedules, so we apologize for not having a podcast last week. It's kind of fun, though, because today we've got a reoccurring guest, I dare say a regular.
Yeah, I think
this is his third time on the podcast, although this is his first time as his new business name. So I would love to introduce our good friend, Andy Lawniczak.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome in, Andy.
And we're going to talk today with Andy about his company that he's had for several years and then the culture shift, the rebranding that he just went through. I'm excited about it. So Andy, just those who've not heard your other episodes, kind of catch us up on who you are, where you are, and let's talk about what's going on in your new name of your business.
All right, yeah. I'm Andy Lawniczak. I've been been married for 24 years now, have 7 children. We did fostering for 8 years, adopted 4 children through that process and 3 biological. And been in business since 2006, doing printing up until COVID, changed things a lot. And then I started focusing on vehicle wraps. And so that's kind of been our main focus since then, while still doing all of the rest. This has kind of been our main focus. So we're really enjoying that.
So you've added on the wraps, but didn't stop the other stuff.
Correct.
Yeah. That's the pivot, the COVID pivot.
Yeah. The COVID pivot. Yeah. So
excellent. So now your original name was Creative Imaging Studio.
Yeah. So in the printing, it was Creative Imaging Studios. When I started doing wraps, then it was Creative Imaging Wraps. It was definitely a seamless transition. It made sense there. Mm-hmm. And then the more I got involved and kind of started, helping others with their branding and this, I started thinking about my own. And that name didn't really give much information. Mm-hmm. It talked about vehicle wraps, it says wraps. You'd hope people think that it meant vehicle wraps, but it could have been body wraps or chicken wraps or whatever.
Right.
But anyway, so we kind of went through this whole process and realized that our name, brand name, and logo, it wasn't serving us well. And so a long story to make it short, but we wanted to make sure that our business name really described what we did. We did a lot of research, a lot of studying, and we came up with the name Precision Auto Wraps, which I know we've talked about it a lot. And through doing vehicle wraps with you guys, that our whole philosophy is precision in the way that we design and the way that we, install and all of that. We try to make things as accurate as possible, as good looking as possible. Auto wraps, there's no ambiguity there. We know it's vehicle wraps. And then
not chicken wraps. Yeah.
Not chicken wraps.
Ooh, hungry.
I know, right? And then along with that as well, we came up with a new mascot that goes with the logo, and we affectionately call him Precision Pete.
Nice.
But he kind of has a look of like a pit crew captain, kind of futuristic, and it's something fun. It's something that kind of, because I really enjoy this, and we wanted to make sure that was.
So I'm interested. Your whole new rebranding it kind of has like a cartoon feel to it. How did you wind up going that direction with it?
Well, I think along the fun route, I knew some things when we were planning this. I knew it wanted to look like a cartoon character in such a way. I know I wanted the lines to be heavy and bold, and I wanted it to give a positive feel. And so we kind of went through that, different iterations, different options, and what we settled on, I'm just absolutely thrilled with. And we've gotten so much good feedback.
Oh, that's good to hear.
It's really good advice, because when you're starting a business, you're small, names matter. I mean, the name of your company, I can't tell you how many businesses I've seen that've got solutions in it, or or even enterprises, or just almost like this ambiguous,
or just nothing, just a name, or even worse, something that's confusing that doesn't have anything to do with what they do.
Yeah. And to not know what the business is, or at least what it is a little bit in the name, is really confusing for people, especially if you're trying to compete with other brands.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that would be kind of a good lesson learned, because obviously you had an evolution between when we had a transition during COVID. So, but you realized that there was, I was fine with you having creative imaging, right? Because I've just known you for years.
Right.
You've done all of our trucks. We've seen you grow from, doing wraps in your house to now you got this beautiful warehouse and employees. And And so I've loved watching your journey.
And he did the refresh on our logo a couple of years ago.
He was 100% responsible for changing the look and feel of our entire brand. When we went from the old stock static logo to the new truck, where we needed this big, beautiful our logo's off the page. That was off the page was actually your work.
Yeah, that was genius.
Design, yeah. And so we've seen that evolution. But if someone doesn't know you, if you're driving down the street with your wrap on your car, they don't get it. I was actually driving down Arcousie Road a couple weeks ago, and there is a wrap company that has their car wrapped that I see probably once every 2 weeks. And I still couldn't tell you the name of their company. The wrap is so ugly. There's so many different colors on it.
Yeah, it's really busy.
It's so busy. Their name is hidden somewhere in there. The phone number is basically hidden. It's like that wrap is useless. And so I know the quality you put into your wraps. Obviously, look at our trucks. They're just, they're very precise, pun intended. So anyways, I think that's a good lesson to learn for people. Just like make your logos or make your name of your company fit who you are. Just kind of some of the basics. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, and I'm curious. I want to ask, and you might have mentioned it before, and I apologize if I missed it, but why did you feel like you needed to change and update?
Well, so I hired a full-time designer, and he does a lot of research, and more than I ever did when I was doing the design.
Well, you did
for my
mention
own
you have
stuff.
7 kids.
But he really likes to research, and he found some companies out there that were doing a lot of branding, and the things that they were making, were saying was important, and you could see it in the designs. And so that's what got us started in that something wasn't quite there. We needed to do something, but it wasn't as in-depth in the beginning as it ended up being. It wasn't going to be this big thing. It ended up being like a 3-month process of searching and trying and error and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, that's how that came about.
Okay.
Yeah. But we were actually doing some research prior to the show, because rebranding is more than, it can be something as subtle as just changing a logo. When Instagram changed from one logo to the next, that's considered a rebrand.
Yeah, I noticed General Motors did that a couple of years ago. They used to have like the capital G and M, and now it's a lowercase. And that was an intentional thing to say, this isn't your father's GM. This is something a little different.
Yeah, sometimes the need is there to change your name. We had a businesswoman on last year, and she had a spa that was called Riviera Spa, and she went to franchise. And she realized that when she had a trademark her name, and realized that Riviera was an old hotel in Las Vegas that had a spa in it, so she could not use the name Riviera.
Somebody was still holding the.
And so she had to
name.
full stop, couldn't continue the franchise, ended up spending lots of money with attorneys to rebrand until she rebranded to C3 Spa and Wellness. But she told her story on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's rebranding is a big deal.
It is.
And what a horrific thing to happen for a small business.
Yeah. And think about who has rebranded over the years. Other companies have had to change names. Obviously, that Google. We found out today that Google's original name was Backrub before they were this juggernaut.
I can see why they changed, because Google is so much better. Although no one knew what that meant until it meant something.
And then they restructured and changed their name to Alphabet.
Yeah.
So Google.
Yeah, that's their parent company.
There's a parent company called Alphabet.
Yeah. And then I'm thinking about Federal Express. They rebranded to FedEx 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts is now Dunkin'.
You guys didn't remember when I was a kid, there was an oil company. It was a big one called ESSO, E-S-S-O, and they rebranded to Exxon. So it's the world's largest oil company or second largest.
So rebranding, when you're big, fine. When you're small, it's a good time to get the opportunity to do it, when you're smaller, right? So Precision Auto Wraps is very scalable in name.
Right.
Probably more than your previous name.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you have that in mind as you were thinking about changing the name as something that was sort of portable and growable and
Yeah, I mean that was definitely in there for sure.
Scalable?
Yeah,
Okay.
as if ever down the road I wanted to sell the business or whatever, it would be something that someone, could want.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Now, you still have creative for your printing side?
Yes.
Okay.
So we kept that.
You didn't get rid of that.
Yeah.
Good. So tell us the process. So not only are you changing the logo, the look and feel of your company and the name, what did you have to do? So if someone is, originally Bill's company was Dement Painting and Drywall, and then we ended up rebranding early in the game before I came here to Hole in the Wall.
Yeah.
And frankly, if it was Bill's Drywall and paint drywall, I wouldn't be here. I didn't see the vision for Dement Painting as a national brand. But when he had the forethought to create Hole in the Wall drywall repair, that's national brand, and that's one that I could see that being a nationwide brand. What is the process that you've had to go through? I mean, because I know everything had to change. Where did you start?
Well, I actually started. I only wanted a mascot for my existing company, and it wasn't working. We couldn't find anything that wasn't cheesy and strange. So, and then we went.
I remember one of the iterations.
Yeah. So we then, we came up with a good idea. We actually came up with a tagline first. And so it kind of went backwards, but the new tagline was Masters of the Wrap. And so we're like, okay, what could fit with that? And we came up with Ninja Wraps. And I was like, oh, this is cool. We made up a cool logo, sent it out to friends. Most of them were like, oh, that's awesome. And then my buddy James here, he had some thoughtful advice. It was some positive, but also had some things for me to think about. And you were right on a lot of the things that it doesn't really help the brand. Ninja Wraps, what are you trying to express? What feelings are you trying to convey? Are you trying to be desirable for, professional companies? And that made me think a lot, because I think it'd be cool if all I did was like color wraps or something, where, the 25-year-old wants to, spruce up his Honda Civic, Ninja Wraps could be something cool for that.
Yeah.
So I went back to the drawing board and I started, okay, if we're going to change our name, what should it be? And, I used some AI, ChatGPT, to come up with some ideas going down a certain direction, and came up with different names. And I saw Precision Auto Wraps, and I was like, that's me. And so we built it from there. And there were some questions that we had that we kind of analyzed, and what should the mascot be and how should it look? And is this a good idea? Does this have bad connotations? But just in the whole process, by the end, I was just so thrilled with how it came out. And the reaction this time around was 100% positive and very, very overflowing positive.
Nice.
I had a lot of good reaction.
At what point did you check for the domain name, your website?
Oh, yeah, that too. So in this whole process, it's kind of like a guess and check. As you see a few names that you might like, you check and see, are the domains available? And precisionautorapps.com is available. Like,
excellent.
This is perfect.
Click. Buy.
Yeah.
Buy.
Yes.
It's now mine. Buy.
Right. And that was a problem we were coming up with Ninja Wraps, because they were available, but it was like $4,000 to buy. Like, I'm not doing that.
And honestly, Ninja is a little bit dated. It was a phase in my mind that kind of came and went, and it lingers a bit, but it's not as strong or popular as it was maybe 20 to 25 years ago.
Maybe not, but I think people still find it cool. Yeah. Kind of like bacon and avocado. It's just one of those things, ninjas are, I don't know, but it wasn't going to be right.
I will say I had a real heartfelt consideration when I wrote my response back to you. I was like, because do you like these two logo designs and different names? And I was thinking, well, let's purple and green. Do I like that? Am I going? And I'm just like, and I think I texted you, go, are you sure you want my honest opinion?
Yeah.
And you're like, hit me. I'm like, all right, I love you. It is, I see a Honda Civic driving down the street.
Yep.
Ninja Wraps. So what you are is classy. What you are is precise. What you are is elevated. So let's find a name that brought you to the level you really are, as opposed to you stooping down. And because we're so close, and I felt I could be, because frankly, if you were just kind of somebody else, I might have given you the thumbs up and said, hey, good job, and moved on. But because I am a fan of watching businesses grow and succeed, I just couldn't. It's like, I love you. If you'd go with Ninja Wraps, I'm on your side, buddy, 100%. But here's my one honest opinion.
Yeah.
So good on you for getting feedback. A lot of people don't get feedback. So
Yeah.
Good job.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then I need to know about who designed the new character.
Yeah, well, Ben, my designer, he does a lot of great stuff, and so obviously there was input. I had envisions of what I wanted. Actually, so in this process and using AI to come up with some stuff, I had asked it for sample things, and I didn't, for the most part, I didn't really love what I came up with. But there was one character that had a face that I was like, that's it right there, and that's what we ended up going with. We changed the body completely.
Right.
But I was like, that face with he's got like these futuristic goggles and like a headset or something on. I don't really know what it is, but I was like, that's what I want. And I told Ben, I was like, okay, we're just designing around this. This is what we're sticking with and going from there. And then the logo itself was like, some of the things that I want. This is what I like. This is what I'm going with. And we even used, I don't know if you remember from my old logo, we used the same font as the old logo, that's what to tie it back.
Right.
And so I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
Came
good.
through,
So if you were starting a new business, or you knew someone who was starting a business and you wanted to give them some advice, what are some things that you would just tell them to think about when they from creating the name to just running that business? What are some things, some takeaways after all of your years of experience, now going through a complete rebrand, that you wish you would have known years ago that you could give that advice to somebody?
Well, part of it, maybe I didn't know or couldn't have known in the beginning. And so I did have to get some experience to know what was going to be important to me. But in general, though, a lot of us, when we start our own business, it's just us. We're doing a thing, and then we just want to do it officially. And so we're like, let's just come up with a business so I can continue doing what I'm doing. But if this is something you feel is really going to be, you're going to put your all into it, let's think about those things. Like, what is it I'm wanting to do? What am I wanting to convey to people instantly when they see my logo or business name? I would recommend strongly stay away from anything that mentions your name or is ambiguous. Don't be like ABC Services. It's not helpful. Even if you do a bunch of things, keep it simple, keep it focused, and come up with a name that really fits what you wanted to do. Now, in that situation, and you may not be prepared at that point, but for we go about the process of also figuring out, can we show in your business name how you may solve a problem? For instance, figure out and say such and such service, you look at reviews from different companies and it's too expensive. It just costs too much. Okay, well, maybe consider, do you want to be the affordable XYZ, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Or, oil changes are taking too long. Okay, we're going to do a 10-minute oil change. You're solving a problem that people perceive. Okay, and you're the immediate go-to because, you're solving that problem. So depending on what your business is there something that's a big pain point for people?
Yeah, we're kind of having that with our drywall business right now, because we've been in discussion for a while about doing work on Saturdays. And the argument is that it is a pain point for people to have repairs done in their home during the week while they're working. But if you can come on a Saturday, you're now their Saturday solution, theoretically. So we're actually kind of beta testing that to see if that's going to work. But I think it's important to not just assume an idea is good, but to kind of test it a little bit. And frankly, that's what I did with Hole in the Wall. The first 4 years I had this business, I didn't even incorporate it. I just kept beta testing for 4 years, but it doubled every year for 4 years. I'm like, yeah, I'm on to something. I got to get help, and we need to be more formal.
Did you know that there are over 140 million homes in the U.S.? 97% of them have walls and ceilings that are built using drywall. The drywall repair industry is simply enormous, valued at over $13 billion a year. We're Hole in the Wall Drywall Repair, and for years we have been perfecting the art of repairing drywall. developing and refining our systems, and strengthening our brand. Our business model is simple, scalable, and easy to learn. We believe it's a real game changer. We are successful drywall repair pros who decided to take our repair business to a higher level, growing both our franchise training and support to industry-leading standards. You'll benefit from our vast experience helping your franchise hit the ground running and achieve success quickly. We'll give you access to our marketing team that has created strategic programs designed to get your phone ringing and booking new business fast. Join a fast-growing leader in an exciting dynamic segment of the home service industry by franchising with hole-in-the-wall drywall repair. Start building your own business and securing your own financial future today. But having a little bit of forethought early helps, right?
Yeah.
Like even, it costs you, it could be $15-$20 for a domain name, right? It's going to cost you maybe $7 a month for an email address. So I know it's not free. I know Gmail is free. And a lot of companies do Gmail. But if you're serious, put a little bit of effort into it, you change to a real, is your email address Precision Auto Wraps?
It's Andy at precisionautorapps.com.
Yeah. So
There you go.
So, I mean, initially when I came on board, we were a Gmail.
Yeah, it was all
account.
Gmail.
I think the first thing I did
No,
was
that's all I
change.
knew.
Yeah.
I didn't even.
Yeah, who
I
cares?
didn't even know there was something else.
Just an email.
Mm-hmm.
But being intentional with the name, a domain name, maybe even having a beta logo done, just something so you have something to start with is important. Just because you can do something well, just because you can fix a car or mow a lawn doesn't mean you're a good business person.
Right.
And so you have to kind of learn as you go. And there's really, unless you want to go to a business school and get a degree, there's really no VOTEC on how to start your own business.
Right.
So, and that's kind of why we started the podcast, is maybe we can just help people, if you're going to do something, let's just start right as opposed to, just starting and then, having to go back and change down the road. Luckily, you were very successful for many years in your old business name. And then through your pivot, you realized you wanted to up your game.
Yeah.
And that's what the rebrand was. But it would really stink if it was James Grove's, lawn care, and then I wanted to sell it to somebody else and I couldn't. Right. So, well, who thinks about selling a business? Unless you down the road, you really think about, but if you're just a kid trying to, mow lawns to get some money to take your girlfriend on a date, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But if you really want to think about, well, can I make this a career? Can I make this into something where I got to hire employees and scale it? Mm-hmm. You want to make sure it's, and frankly, it's an asset. A business is an asset that is something that you can take with you. You can pass it down to children, or you can sell it as an entire entity to somebody else. Right. So you don't have to build something just to let it go if you pass away or you just get tired of doing it. So I think it's important to think about those things ahead of time. So anything else that you've got, that's some advice, some sage wisdom from Mr. Lawniczak that people can't live without? On the spot.
I know, on the spot. Well, just realize that this, the rebranding process is not just designing a new logo. It's not just, putting something out there. There's a lot of thought involved, and it's an investment. It's figuring out what things should be for the best results, the best return. And there's a lot of time that goes into that. This isn't like a 2-hour logo design. I mean, this took us months. Now, it may not take, it wouldn't necessarily take us that long for yours, but it will take time, and there will be, like, Ben has a questionnaire, and it's multiple pages about, who you are, what your business is about, what you want to accomplish, what's your target audience, all of this stuff. So it's not just, okay, I want flowers, and we're going to call it,
Call it a day.
whatever.
Yeah.
So just realize that there is time, there is investment involved in doing all of this, but in the end, you're going to be in such a better spot, a better
the reward for getting that right and for spending that time. And I think some people can do that in 15 minutes, but I think you're right. It just you really do need to put the time in. I mean, lightning strikes, right? Yeah. But I think you have to put in the weeks and months thinking it through. Who am I? How do we want to represent what it is we do? Yeah, public facing.
I mean, there was several years back before we trademarked Hole in the Wall. We tried for years to get a trademark. We went to an attorney, and after getting declined for our trademark twice, our attorney, now we've been in business now 8 years or so. He looked at us and says, "Yeah, you need to change your name.
You just need to rebrand
the whole company." We're like, what are you talking about? Says, well, you're not going to get your trademark, so might as well just rebrand. And so we lovingly didn't listen to him. Went and found a new attorney, and they got us our trademarks. Matter of fact, they got us multiple trademarks. But there was a moment we were kind of going, gulp.
Yeah, no, that was unthinkable at that point, really.
Hole in the ceiling? I mean, what are we going to rebrand? This is our entity. This is our entire... Let's talk real fast, because I got the wrap expert here. Let's talk a little bit about wraps. And because, frankly, our Google is probably our number one, our organic, for people finding us, you Google Drywall Repair Orlando, we're number one. Got it. But our second is probably our vehicles. Yeah. So as we drive down the street, we've got these big, large vehicles, mobile billboards, and to let that go to waste is a shame. So what are some things that people should think about when they think about branding their vehicle with their company?
Well, it all plays together. So the branding of your company, your vehicles and your website, they're all going to tell the same story, and they're all going to look the same. And that's important. When someone sees a vehicle of yours and they see your website, they check out your website, guess what's on your website? The same branding. They're going to see the same vehicles on the website. It's like, when they come into your office, they're going to see the same logos and feel in your
you want that
office.
continuity.
You want the continuity that they know, okay, this is legit. And so it's just thinking of all of that together to make one seamless picture of your whole company. You don't want this great logo and then your vehicles to look one way, your website to look another way. You come into your office, it's another way. So the continuity of everything and the consistency among multiple vehicles is important as well. You're showing that, that's important to you. You've got this fleet, it's well-intentioned. And so,
So do you give the starting block? If I came with you with just our hole in the wall logo and said, listen, man, I got a logo on my trucks. Where are you starting with that design?
Well, it's starting with questions. What are you wanting to do with that, with your vehicles? Are you wanting to fit in? Are you wanting to stand out? Are you just, some companies out there, they only need to become, just make sure that things are accurate. And then another, they want to look good, but they don't want to spend a lot of money, and it's there. But the thing is, you need to look at your vehicles, your wrap as an advertising investment, because if you just have your logo and a phone number on the site, you're not getting calls. You're not. Yeah. It's not doing anything. It's just saying, okay, I'm here. At least I'm a legit business.
Yeah, if you're Duke Energy, you just find to have your little logo on the door. That's just the bare minimums, just so people know who you are when you drive up.
Right.
But if you want to use your vehicle for marketing.
Yeah, if you're doing business at a home or something and you want the neighbors to see and like, oh, I'm going to call them when I need something, you need something that's going to stand out, look professional, and kind of have a wow factor. If you're driving down the street, if you've got a wrap that actually catches people's attention before they even know what you do, they're going to give you a second look. And, oh, yeah, drywall, cool.
Yeah.
So those are the things to think about. It's not just about the cost of the wrap. It's about the value that you get from it. I mean, if you can, I've told this story, but one of my earlier customers, I think the wrap we did for him was like $2,000 or something. Like within the first week, he had $12,000 in business. And within 18 months after having it, he followed it. He had over almost $60,000 in business just
amazing.
From the wraps.
Wow.
And he spent $2,000.
Yeah, so it's a crime not to wrap your vehicle.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Well, we know firsthand that people come take photos of our trucks as they're parked at the neighbor's house working. We had a guy one time sent us a photo of one of our trucks on the highway just to say, I don't need any drywall work done. I just think this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah,
I would have liked to see that.
It was before we met you. Sorry, it was on the original. It wasn't even the upgrade.
Wow.
Sorry, it's been a while.
She said, "What a great name!" Yeah, we had a dollar for every time we heard. That's a great name.
But our friends constantly. I bet we have one or two photos a month sent to us. Somebody that we know, like, oh, saw your truck over and wherever. You know what? It never gets old, Andy.
Yeah,
it never gets old.
We call it hole in the wall in the wild because people will just randomly send us, "Hey, I saw your truck was in my neighborhood," or your truck was. Driving.
Good.
They don't take pictures driving on the street and be unsafe, but they're kind of fun to get. When hey, we're on the 408 or on I-4, and here's one of your trucks I'm following.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if anyone's gotten a wrap from me and someone sends you a picture like that, send it to me. I want to know.
Yeah,
you got it. What I do warn my employees is like, just so you know, there's a truck number on every vehicle, and if you're driving like a maniac, people are looking at you. We do see those pictures. So anyways, well, Andy, I am super impressed. I love, again, we've been friends a long time, but watching the evolution of where you kind of started to where you are now. And frankly, I see it growing at leaps and bounds. I love your heart as a father, as a believer, as a business guy, and just someone that we can go have lunch with and just pal around with. It's just nice to have people like you in my orbit. So thank you for being here.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, it was good. So let everyone know. I know you said your email address here, but just how can someone find you? You got a great Instagram too. So tell people how they can find you.
Yeah. So Precision Auto Wraps is the name of the company. So the website is precisionautorapps.com. Email is andy@precisionautorapps.com. My phone number, you can text or call. It's 812-598-4472. It's 812-598-4472. We can help you any way. And
Awesome. Well, listen, thanks for coming in. Everyone, thank you for listening.
Yeah, appreciate you coming, Andy.
Another good show.
Thanks.
We'd like to thank you for listening to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. We'd love for you to join our Facebook group and keep the conversation going. If you'd like to learn more about us and our business, check us out at holeinthewall.com. If you'd like to learn more about how to start a Hole in the Wall franchise, go to holeinthewallfranchising.com.